3 years. 1,095 days of waking up every morning, opening charts, staring at numbers, and telling myself that today would be different. That today I finally had it figured out. That today the market would cooperate, the setup would work, and the losses I had been accumulating, slowly, painfully, persistently, would finally begin to reverse. 3 years of being wrong about that. I am not writing this article to impress you with my eventual success. I am writing it because I spent 3 years learning lessons that I could have learned in 3 months. If only someone had been honest with me at the beginning. Nobody was. The trading content I consumed in those early years was almost universally designed to sell me a fantasy. The screenshots of massive profits, the lifestyle videos, the easy strategy tutorials that made consistent trading income look like something any person could achieve in a few weeks with the right indicator. I believed it. I paid for it, repeatedly. What I am about to share with you are the 7 things I wish I had known on day 1. Not the strategies, those I eventually figured out. The deeper truths, the ones that sit beneath every strategy and determine whether any strategy will ever work for you. Read this carefully, because these lessons cost me 3 years. They do not have to cost you anything except the next 15 minutes. Lesson 1. The market does not owe you anything. This sounds obvious. It is not. When you first start trading, there is a psychological assumption so deeply embedded that you may not even realize it is there. The belief that effort should equal reward. That if you study hard enough, watch enough tutorials, practice enough, and put in enough hours, the market will eventually recognize your dedication and pay you for it. The market does not work this way. Not even slightly. The market is not aware of your existence. It does not know how many hours you spent studying. It does not care about your financial goals, your family situation, or how badly you need this to work. It is a mechanism for transferring money from people who are wrong to people who are right, and it executes that transfer with complete, absolute indifference. The moment I truly internalized this, not intellectually understood it, but felt it in my bones, everything about how I approached trading changed. I stopped taking losses personally. I stopped feeling like the market was punishing me. I stopped the exhausting emotional cycle of hope and devastation that had defined my first 2 years. The market is not personal. Your response to it must not be personal either. It is a game of probabilities, executed with discipline and emotional detachment. The sooner you accept this completely, the sooner you can begin playing the game correctly. Lesson 2. Your first strategy was never the problem. I changed my strategy 14 times in 3 years. I am not exaggerating. 14 complete overhauls of my approach. New indicators, new time frames, new entry rules, new exit rules. Each time convinced that I had finally found the system that would work. Each time eventually disappointed. Here is what I did not understand. My strategies were not failing because they were wrong. They were failing because I was not following them. Every strategy I used, even the mediocre ones, had a logical basis. If followed with discipline and consistency over a sufficient number of trades, most of them would have produced acceptable results. Some would have produced genuinely good results, but I never gave any of them the chance to prove themselves. I would take 3 losing trades, conclude that the strategy was broken, and move on to the next one. Then 2 losing trades, then sometimes 1, if my confidence was already fragile. What I was actually doing was strategy hopping to avoid confronting the real problem, my inability to follow a system consistently when it was producing losses. The fix is not a better strategy. The fix is the discipline to follow your existing strategy through its inevitable losing in periods without abandoning it. Every profitable strategy has losing streaks. The only way to capture the profitable side of a strategy is to stay with it long enough to let the probabilities play out. Pick one strategy. Test it properly over at least 100 trades. Only then make a judgment about whether it works. Lesson 3. Risk management is not part of trading. It is trading. In my first year, I thought about risk management the way most beginners do, as an annoying constraint, a necessary evil. Something you dealt with after the exciting part, finding the trade, was done. Stop loss? Sure, somewhere below here. Position size? Whatever feels right for this particular trade. This approach cost me more money than every bad trade I ever took combined. Here is the truth that 3 years eventually burned into me. Risk management is not a component of trading. It is the foundation on which everything else is built. Without it, no strategy, no matter how accurate, can produce consistent long-term profitability. The mathematics are unforgiving. If you risk 10% of your account on a single trade and lose, which will happen regularly, regardless of your strategy's win rate, you need an 11% gain just to return to where you started. Lose 20%, and you need 25% to recover. Lose 50%, and you need 100%. The losses compound faster than the gains. This is why accounts blow up, not because of one catastrophic trade, but because of a series of oversized losses that create a mathematical hole too deep to climb out of. The professional rule is simple and non-negotiable. Risk no more than 1 to 2% of your total account on any single trade, full stop. At 1% risk, you can lose 20 consecutive trades, a statistical near impossibility with any reasonable strategy, and still have 82% of your account intact. You survive. You continue. You give your strategy the opportunity to recover. At 10% risk, 5 consecutive losses, which is entirely normal, cuts your account in half. Risk management is not defensive. It is the most aggressive thing you can do for your long-term profitability. Implement it without compromise. Lesson 4. You are trading your psychology, not the market. I spent my first 2 years studying charts. I spent almost no time studying myself. This was the single most expensive mistake of my trading journey, because here is what I eventually discovered. The market is not the primary variable in my trading performance. I am. My emotional state, my cognitive biases, my relationship with loss, my ability to sit with uncertainty. These factors determined my results far more than any analysis I ever performed. The revenge trade. After a loss, the need to immediately recover is overwhelming. So you take the next trade before the setup is ready. You size up to make the money back faster, and you lose again, bigger. I did this more times than I can count. The overconfidence trade. After a string of wins, you feel invincible. The market has confirmed your genius. You take a trade that does not meet your criteria because you are certain it will work. It does not. The loss erases 3 wins. The fear trade. After a significant loss, you are so afraid of losing again that you exit winning trades too early, taking tiny profits on setups that, if held to their proper targets, would have produced significant returns. Your winners get smaller. Your losers stay the same size. The math destroys you. None of these failures are strategy failures. They are psychology failures. And no strategy upgrade will fix a psychology problem. The solution is a trading journal. Not a record of your trades, but a record of your emotional state, before, during, and after every trade. What were you feeling when you entered? What made you exit early? What were you thinking when you sized up? This journal, reviewed honestly and regularly, will reveal the psychological patterns that are costing you money, patterns you cannot see without the mirror the journal provides. Lesson 5. Patience is a trading strategy. I used to believe that the more I traded, the more I would make. More trades meant more opportunities. More opportunities meant more profit. The opposite is true. The best traders I have ever studied, and I have studied many, share one characteristic that stands above all others. They are extraordinarily selective. They pass on dozens of setups for every one they take. They wait, sometimes for days, for the specific alignment of conditions that their system requires. And when those conditions appear, they execute with complete confidence. This selectivity is not caution. It is strategy. Every trade you take that does not fully meet your criteria is a trade where your mathematical edge is reduced or eliminated entirely. You are paying the spread, taking on the risk, and exposing your psychology to the stress of an open position, without the full probability advantage your system provides. Every unnecessary trade is a small leak in your account. Over hundreds of trades, those leaks become floods. The trades you do not take are as important as the trades you do. Learning to sit on your hands, to watch a market move without you because the setup is not quite right, is one of the most valuable and most difficult skills in trading. It took me 2 years to stop seeing patience as waiting and start seeing it as working. Lesson 6. Consistency beats intelligence. Every time I spent enormous energy in my first 2 years trying to be clever, looking for complex patterns, developing sophisticated multi-indicator systems, reading academic papers on market microstructure, trying to understand the market at a level that would give me an edge over other participants. The traders who were consistently profitable around me were doing something that looked almost embarrassingly simple by comparison. Few clear rules, same setup, repeated over and over. No cleverness, no complexity, just consistent execution of a simple, tested system. I resisted this for a long time because it felt too easy. Surely consistent profitability required more sophistication than this. It does not. The edge in trading does not come from the complexity of your system. It comes from the consistency with which you execute it. A simple system followed with perfect discipline will outperform a sophisticated system followed inconsistently every single time over every sufficient sample of trades. Complexity is the enemy of consistency. The more moving parts your system has, the more opportunities there are for your judgment and your emotions to interfere with execution. Simplify ruthlessly. Define your rules clearly. Execute them consistently. This is the path. Lesson 7. Protect your capital like it is your life. Capital is not just money. In trading, capital is time. It is opportunity. It is the ability to continue. When your capital is gone, the game is over. There are no more chances to apply what you have learned. No more opportunities to execute the system you spent years developing. The account that took months or years to build can be destroyed in days, sometimes hours, by a failure to protect it. Every decision you make in trading should pass through this filter first. Does this protect my ability to continue trading tomorrow? Not, will this make me money today? That question leads to oversized positions, revenge trades, and the gambler's desperation that destroys accounts. Does this protect my ability to continue trading tomorrow? This question leads to disciplined position sizing, strict stop losses, and the long-term mindset that actually builds wealth. The traders who make it, the ones who are still here after 5, 10, 20 years, are not the ones who made the most money fastest. They are the ones who protected their capital long enough to let their skill compound over time. Treat every dollar in your account as irreplaceable, because it is. What those 3 years actually taught me. If I could go back to the beginning with everything I can know now, I would not start by finding a better strategy. I would start here. I would commit to losing no more than 1% per trade, and never break that rule, regardless of how certain I felt. I would pick one simple strategy and commit to it for 6 months before evaluating it. I would start a psychology journal on day 1 and read it weekly. I would learn to be patient, genuinely, deeply patient, and treat my selectivity as my primary edge. I would stop trying to be clever and start trying to be consistent, and I would protect my capital like it was the most precious resource I possessed, because in trading, it is. These lessons cost me 3 years, hundreds of losing trades, more money than I want to calculate. They do not have to cost you anything. That is the only reason I am sharing them. Drop a comment. Which of these 7 lessons hit you the hardest? What do you wish you had known earlier? The most important lesson I ever learned about trading was not about the market. It was about myself.